The Super Speedway Podcast is a Dream Bigger media production. For news, photos, show notes, and information about advertising on the podcast, visit www.thesuperspeedway.com.
3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Super Speedway.
Zach Sterniolo, Pocono Record. Two parts. First, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate the package? Here?
Stop asking me package questions. I'm done answering them. Next.
Okay.
Well, then you may not answer this one. So do you do anything to kind of either motivate yourself or to try to get you in a positive frame of mind for races?
Nope. Am I a positive person?
Welcome to episode 110 of the Super Speedway Podcast. Recorded Tuesday. Helps if I bring down the right channel. Episode 110 of the Super Speedway Podcast, recorded Tuesday, June 4th, 2019. I'm your host, Eric Young. I am joined once again this week by my co-host, James Cush, who is witnessing me completely bomb the beginning.
I come back and things go back to normal.
See, I have the studio set up here where my mixer board is kind of to the side and behind me. And I went back to the old mixer board last weekend because I was not in the studio when Todd and I recorded. And so I came back this week and I got to get used to this one again. And I hit the wrong switch. I actually turned you down, James.
That's all right. Well, you had the music loud enough, but we could still hear Kyle crybabying extremely loud over top of the music. So that was perfect.
So I want to talk about this really quick. So I have a couple of opinions on this. First of all, let me start by saying I think I've made it clear on this podcast, and we've talked about it before. I am in no way in favor of telling these drivers to stop talking, not to say things, not to express their opinions, etc. I want guys with personality. Kyle Busch, it might be a crappy one, but he's got a personality, and we need that in the sport. That being said, I want to note that this was a guy from the Pocono Record asking this question. This is not a guy who follows the circuit regularly. This was a local journalist whose position I'm familiar with because I'm going to my first race of the season out of 4 that I go to. And so this is a guy that doesn't get a chance to ask these drivers these questions, doesn't get a chance to talk to them. He's asking the winner a question and he gets completely blasted. That being said, come on. Ask a better question. Kyle, do you follow the sport? You know Kyle's opinion on this. Just because he won doesn't mean, and rate this package from 1 to 10. Come on. You're asking for it.
The whole thing is really funny. Now, to be fair, too, I saw Jeff Gluck state that only 3 full-time NASCAR media members were at Pocono.
Okay, I didn't see that part.
So therefore, Kyle Busch might... probably a lot of unfamiliar faces
right
in that room. I don't know, man. I listen, I'm tired of talking about the packages. I'm tired of saying that word. So I can understand where he's coming from when he's like, I am done talking to you guys about this. I really don't blame him because it's getting kind of annoying. But that's the way the season's going to be. I mean, it's affected the whole thing, and he's the best driver.
It's the biggest storyline of the season.
Yeah, and he's the best driver under the new rules package. So what are we supposed to do? And
let me say one thing. Let's all just take a moment. All the Kyle Busch haters out there, all the people that do not want to see Kyle Busch win, you can't stand it when he wins a race. And take a moment, say a little thank you that Kyle Busch hates this package. Because if Kyle Busch liked this package, he wouldn't have lost a race yet.
I know.
I mean, he's killing everybody right now, and he hates the package.
He's the best driver in the series with the best car, and he's crushing everybody. And the only other person who's close to him is his teammate, who's probably still playing catch up a little bit from switching from the 78 car.
Right.
So,
and the thing is, I completely lost my train of thought. This is a good start to this show, James. It's really going well.
We are back to normal. Thank you, Todd, for coming in and getting things, back on the right track. But I'm here, man. We're going off the rails. Let's go.
So Kyle Busch got the win this weekend at Pocono, just in case you didn't know this. But he was grumpy after the race, as evidenced by that response. And his 8-minute long post-race press conference, which is pretty short compared to, say Clint Boyer last year at Michigan, which went on for about 45 minutes. Which I know you're comparing apples to oranges here. But anyway, so Jeff Gluck, our buddy from The Athletic, decided to ask Kyle, well, here you go.
I can't tell whether you're happy or not right now.
Huh?
Are you happy?
Why?
You just won. You won the race.
Yeah. So.
Does winning make you happy? Like, are you leaving here like, yes, yay, everything's great?
Yes. Yay. Okay.
No, I'm just wondering. I'm not putting words in your mouth. I'm wondering. I can't tell.
I mean, am I happy? Sure. Yeah. Today was a good day. We did what we were supposed to do. We did our job. We've had fast cars this year and have thrown away too many. So I've left the racetrack way too many times this year, frustrated. And I guess I try not to let the highs be so high and the lows be so low, but I could probably roll somewhere in the middle. So when you win, there's a lot of guys that enjoy it a heck of a lot more and get the high from it. But to me, that's what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. And so today was a successful day, and I look at it like that. And now I'm already looking ahead to next week.
So you can hate on him as much as you want, but come on, is that not what you want in a driver?
I like the fired up version of Kyle. Like even after winning, he's still pretty feisty, which reminds me of somebody else I really used to root for.
Right.
But can you imagine when Kyle inevitably chokes away the championship at some point this season, how much more angry that's going to sound?
Right. That's true.
Listen, Kyle's probably going to win the championship. Just for the record, but I'm just saying he's got a history. Anyway,
Yeah.
no, Kyle's. I mean, look at his numbers this year, Eric. He's been. I don't know if we've seen a start to the season quite like I'm having a hard time thinking, other than maybe the last time when Jeff Gordon was winning 10 races a season, and maybe Jimmy Johnson in the late 2000s. But Kyle Busch has one race where he didn't finish in the top 10, and he should have finished in the top 10. So
Yeah.
he should have. I mean, he's just been so dominant. He's got when he says that I did what I came here to do. He's not kidding. Like,
No,
he is
exactly.
speaking the truth. Like, that guy shows up at the racetrack every week, and he expects to win, and he's as he should.
Right. So Kyle Busch gets the win this weekend. He moves into 10th all time. Ties Rusty Wallace. 10th all time.
34 years old.
4 years old. And yeah, he's got 4 wins on the season this year, 8 top 5s, 13 top 10s. We've run 14 races, as James noted. His average finish is 6th. And it is so far his best season of his career.
Yeah, he's just on a rail, man. And you can't knock him. It's super impressive.
And I'll tell you what, this is a consistent guy. So let's just look down his stats. I've got him in front of me here. So he his first full career was 2005. His average finish was 21st. He got 2 wins that season. He's won at least one race every season he's competed in full time. So since 2005. Yep. So the next season, 15.5, 14.1, 12.5, 15.4, 14.0, 13.0, 13.3, 12.7. Then he had a rough year in 2014 and was 17.6, then 10.8, 11.5, 11.5, 8.3, 6.4. This is a guy that has consistently gotten better throughout his entire career.
Yeah, and since his 2015 championship campaign, which was a short season shortened by injury,
right,
he has done no worse than 4th in the championship. He's made the Homestead final round every single year, and he's on pace to pretty much lock that up. His playoff run could be pretty easy because of all these wins he's racking up. He's getting a ton of playoff points right now.
We've run 15 races of a 36 race season, and Kyle is halfway to his win total from last year.
Yep, and halfway to his laps led. We're talking about the podcast. I'm like, man, he's already halfway to his laps led total last year, and we thought last season was dominant. Yeah, he's gonna be pushing that dominance to another level this year.
Yep, that's crazy. It's amazing.
Every time he wins, we talk. He's at that point in his career, and again, he's 34. We put him in historical context every time because, I mean, look at the stuff he's done this year. He's on this pace. He hit the 200 win mark for the top 3 series. It's just every win he's he's piling on to historical numbers, his eventual Hall of Fame numbers that he's, first ballot lock, already.
Yeah, I mean,
He could
definitely.
quit. He could quit today, and he's a first ballot lock at this
Yep,
point.
definitely.
He's just unbelievable numbers that he's putting up.
So I mentioned he moved into 10th in the all-time win list, and by doing that, he accomplished something which I give this guy some credit. This is kind of amazing. This Mayflower Train Set is the Reddit user that posted this. The link is in the show notes, but he noted with his win, Kyle Busch ended a streak that went back to the Cup Series inaugural season. So Kyle Busch was tied previously with. Right, would have been tied with Lee Petty, right?
Lee Petty, yeah.
Tied with Lee Petty, and by winning this past weekend, he moved into 10th, past Lee Petty. Lee Petty fell to 11th on the all-time win list. Well, Lee Petty has been in the top 10 of the NASCAR winningest drivers since the very first season, since his very first win. Period. I mean, it's
incredible,
crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's a really good. I mean, good job on the homework.
Holy cow!
What an incredible streak to come to an end. So since he started his streak, Richard Petty won 200 races in there.
Right.
Like Richard Petty came and went, Dale Earnhardt came and went, and another guy named Jimmy Johnson won 7 titles, all in that streak. Like the entire history of NASCAR is in that streak. That's pretty cool.
It's crazy.
Yeah, good stat. I like that. That's a really good one.
Don't mind me putting the cap on my water bottle right down next to my microphone. See, I'm not a professional at all.
We are. Yeah, we are. I was gonna say we are professional. It's like authentic.
So I'm pulling this up right now because I wasn't prepared ahead of time. Because again, not professional.
Not professional.
So the people that are ahead or tied with Kyle Busch right now. So tied at 9th or 10th place, 9th place, whatever. Rusty Wallace, 55 wins. Dale Earnhardt, 76 wins. We know the 55, that's gone this year.
55's coming down, and then within 2 years or 3 years, Dale Earnhardt's going down the list too.
Yeah, so we got Dale Earnhardt, we got Cale Yarborough at 83, Jimmy Johnson at 83, Bobby Allison 84, Darrell Waltrip 84, Jeff Gordon's at 93, David Pearson 105, obviously Richard Petty with 200. How high does Kyle get?
I've got him going up to number 2. I think he'll end up number 2.
Think so?
I don't see where he's going to slow down. When is Gibbs going to have a bad season? I guess
right.
is what's going to slow him down. They don't seem to be slowing down. But then again, my argument with myself is we all thought Johnson was getting to 100, and all of a sudden it's like, Johnson's not going to get to 90. So
I say Kyle gets to 4, and he claims it on his own. So that means he gets past 84. I say he doesn't make it to 93. I don't think he makes it to Gordon. I think it's just too competitive.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I know it's. Can he keep it up? Can he keep getting better and winning races like this?
If he stays with Gibbs his entire career, we're projecting a little bit. Stays with Gibbs his entire career, and Gibbs remains a top 3 organization, top 4 organization as they are right now with Penske, Stewart-Haas, and Hendrick. Why not 100?
Yeah, but so you say top 4 organization, and you include Hendrick in there, but what's Hendrick doing right now?
Hendrick's got how many wins? Chase Elliott got 4 wins over the last 2 seasons right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's the worst Kyle Busch is, and he gets 3 wins a season into his 40s,
I think that's a big ask.
I think this season we're in right now, this is a 10-win season for Kyle.
Yeah, you're probably right, and I think we predicted that last year when we talked about this aero package.
Yeah, he's getting to 10 this year probably, and if the rules package is going to be similar moving forward, probably another 10 next year. So that's going to get him near Earnhardt at that point.
Right.
And he's only going to be 30. He's only 34. Like his best years are not even. He hasn't seen his best seasons yet.
Yeah.
His best numbers are coming. Age 39 is what our friends at Motorsports Analytics and David Smith always say. Your NASCAR driver's best season is age 39.
Right.
Kyle Busch has a long way to go to get there. So only getting better.
Yeah, that's true. He's definitely got plenty of time to do it. So
yep.
No,
I think he's going to be the guy. I think he's going to be the 100 win driver.
it could happen. It could happen. I'm not saying it won't. All right, let's talk about Pocono since we haven't really much discussed it. Pocono 400 at Pocono Raceway. Kyle Busch obviously gets the win, leads 79 laps, essentially dominates the race for the most part. In his M&M's Hazelnut Toyota, which I thought was a pretty sweet looking car. I was a fan of it.
Nice blue. I like the blue.
I like the big yellow on the door, the big yellow M&M on the door. I don't know.
Yes.
Just caught my eye.
Pops.
Brad Keselowski comes home second, Eric Jones third, Chase Elliott fourth, Clint Boyer fifth. William Byron had a decent run, led 25 laps in the day.
Pole sitter.
Yep, pole sitter. Also, Kyle Larson did Kyle Larson things and looked like one of the top guys to compete and won both stages and then blew it.
I just don't understand.
He's
really
just got
don't.
Well, and I was talking to somebody the other day, and they're right. He's in the Kyle Busch mode right now, except that Kyle was getting wins when he was doing it, but he's driving just too much over his head. He needs to chill out and finish races, and he's had this problem for 3-4 years. But look what happened when Kyle figured it out. He won a championship.
Yeah, and he'll get there. I think he'll get there, and I think
he better get there soon though, because
yeah.
if he wants a better ride than what he's got.
Yeah. And he overdrives for the equipment. I mean, he overperforms for the equipment he's in. To be honest with you. I mean, shoot, we're seeing Kurt Busch kind of doing the same thing. He's super talented, and he's definitely raising the level of the team.
Right.
But yeah, Kyle Larson's sitting on that bubble, 16th in points. He's not secured in the playoffs right now, and the guy he's battling is Jimmy Johnson. So it's like
Right.
it's not going to be easy unless he can get that win and get himself secure. He's kind of in a trouble spot.
Yep. Austin Dillon comes home last, 37th.
Yeah. Stuffed her in the fence.
Yep. Got hit from behind, wrecked. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., another one that he's either looking good or a disaster.
Yeah. Martin Truex, the engine failure, not that it matters to him. I mean, he's locked in, he's doing fine, but yeah, that was kind of concerning. I was surprised to see you don't see engine failures from the Gibbs camp very often.
No, especially when you're running
anymore anyway.
Especially when you're running a 550 horsepower car and not shifting.
Yeah,
like
weird.
What were they testing there? That's the only thing you can think is either testing something or somehow you screwed something up or something was left off or whatever. But
yeah, rest of the Gibbs cars ran really well. That's a weird one.
Matt DiBenedetto finishes 17th after spinning, so still a decent day for him.
Yeah, pretty nice recovery day. Johnson was off all day. I'm just speaking of that because he's right behind him. Benedetto spots behind him. Just really they just missed it.
Daniel Hemrick got 13th. That's a good finish for him. Where did Busher end up? I'm looking here.
He finished 14th.
14th. I mean, Chris looked good throughout the day as well.
He's been really running fast. That team. That team this year has started building their own chassis, and they're running pretty good.
Yeah.
Like they have stepped up from where they were last year. Busher's been really outperforming from where I guess where you would say his normal was.
Right.
Yeah, he's looked really well, and so has Ryan Preece. And in moments, he's having a rookie season, but I've been really surprised with JTD Daugherty and how well they've been doing. I think they've had a pretty good year.
Yeah, it's been pretty impressive for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Get back to my notes here. What else did I want to talk about? So let's talk about the race as a whole. I have seen a ton of complaints. I've listened to a ton of complaints on Sirius about how terrible this race was. James, was it a bad race?
I mean, it's Pocono.
I thought it was a good race for Pocono.
Fine. It's a fine race. Fine race.
There's people talking about, do we need to put more banking in the turns? Don't touch it. This track is unique.
It's fine, people.
We talked about, so how many years did we talk about, let's bulldoze California and put something else in there. Yeah. And now look at California's great. And Pocono has had some great races. They've definitely had some great moments. This was not the greatest, but I thought the cautions fell at the right time. I think we're seeing a trend that I kind of predicted we might start seeing. We went several races at the beginning of the year without accidents, and now we're getting a bunch of them because these guys are pushing it. They know where the line is now. They found
Yep.
the line, and now they're going to start pushing it over the edge. So we're going to see more of that stuff pick up as we
Yep.
go, because now they know where they can go, and you've got to test that limit. But
Yeah.
I wanted to look at some stats here real quick. I warned James ahead of time I was going to pull up some stats. So I often, when people complain about a race, I often like to go back to the quality passes. So I did a little research on what NASCAR considers a quality pass, because we talked about it before and we kind of guessed. So a quality pass is a green flag on track pass of anybody in the top 15. So interesting, right?
Right.
So quality passes for the, let's see, last year's Pocono 400, this exact same race last year, Chase Elliott led with quality passes with 54 quality passes on the day on the way to a 10th place finish. Martin Truex Jr. won the race last year. He had 32 quality passes. So I look at this year, and Eric Almirola led the field with quality passes with, go figure, a 10th place finish and 54 quality passes. The exact same as last year. Kyle Busch won the race. He had 28 quality passes. So yes, Kyle's
A
right.
few less.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah. A few less.
yes, 4 less passes.
But if you're running
than
up
last
front
year's
like
winner.
Kyle, how many cars can Kyle Busch really pass?
Exactly.
During the day?
And
Who's gonna be up
I
front?
count the outside pass on Clint Boyer in turn 3 as probably like 3 passes.
Yeah.
Because that's
Right.
just not possible.
I know.
But I mean, if you look down the statistics, Jimmy Johnson was second last year, 53 quality passes. 41 was Alex Bowman in second this time. Really, these are very, very similar to what we had last year. This is a Pocono race. It's not unusual.
I think one thing that stood out to me, thanks, shout out Nick Brownberg on Twitter. He did a side-by-side comparison of intervals
Okay.
during the race, and the cars were definitely more spread out this year than they were last year.
Okay.
Just seconds off the leader and so on and so forth. Just seemed like the field was a little spread out, but I mean, when you're looking from 5th to 20th or whatever, I don't know what what's a second here and there, I guess. You don't really notice it that much, but
Right.
It stuck out to me that that the gap between cars was a lot bigger. And I noticed that some teams were talking about that big air bubble.
Right.
And it seemed to be an issue with some guys. But like you said, Eric, I mean, the quality passes were right there. So, give or take a little bit. What do you think? I mean, I thought it was just a typical Pocono race. It looked like that to me. Cars looked fine. It was a good race. I thought it was fine.
Quit bitching.
That's exactly it. Yeah.
Just
always
watch
something to
the
complain
race,
about.
for God's
Yeah.
sakes.
Yeah, I mean, this is the age we live in, though. 2019,
I
it's
know.
complaining about everything. It sucks, but
I know. It's irritating.
yeah.
Anything else worth mentioning from this race? I did not get a chance to watch Saturday's Xfinity race. I instead watched Saturday's Belle Isle or Detroit Grand Prix.
Yeah.
I did hear that the Xfinity race was really good. I just did watch the highlights, saw the last corner pass.
Yeah, the last pass was great. Cole Custer, a nice win for
Yeah.
him.
And I think that had a lot to do with, from talking to people, that had a lot to do with why people hated Sunday's race so much, is because the Xfinity race was a lot better. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, the trucks are always better, and we're not complaining about that. So
Right. Yeah, I can't wait for the double next year. I mean, I'm excited about
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
I'm gonna see what that looks like. So
I do hope that they knock these things down to 300 miles to do the double. I think that would make it more interesting. I mean, when we shorten from 5 people, come on, those people complaining about Pocono.
Pocono used to be 500.
Do you remember 500 miles of
Oh.
Pocono? It was awful. Nothing happened. And when they took those 100 miles off, the race got tolerable. And now it's
Yeah.
tolerable. And if you take another 100 miles off of it, now it's exciting.
Yeah, it's a good race. I thought it was fine. I mean, not great.
Not every race is going to be a barn burner.
No, it's sports, man.
Yep.
Go watch baseball. If you thought that was boring, go watch baseball and tell me how you feel.
I've been to plenty. I mean, hockey, I think, is one of the most exciting sports there is, but I've been to some boring hockey games. There's boring basketball games. Every sport has boring things. I mean, every basketball game is boring.
When you said, I was just going to say the word every, I thought he was going to say every basketball. Fair enough.
Had to go for it. Had to take
Fair
the shot.
enough.
Had to take the shot.
Get him in. Get him in while you can, man. You took enough shots last week when I was gone.
Right.
Fine. We're fine.
I did
Everything's
want to
fine.
throw one more stat thing out. I continue to find little nuggets on the NASCAR media site, which are just awesome. There's so many stats and anything you could dream of on that site. So I found a percentage of laps led on the season. James, I'm going to throw this one at you. Who has led the highest percentage of laps so far this season?
This season,
Yes.
I think it's a safe bet to say Kyle Busch.
That is incorrect, sir. You are really close.
He's probably second.
Kyle is second, 17.09%. He's
Trying to
led
think of
763 laps so far.
Who else would be a big lap leader?
You're going to be surprised, I think.
Is it Keselowski?
It is Keselowski. Brad
All
Keselowski
right.
has led 17.23% of the laps, 769. So he's barely ahead of Kyle. Kyle's probably going to, well, he won't pass him this weekend because it's Michigan and Kyle sucks at Michigan. But, of course, Kyle also sucked at Pocono, and we see what's happening there. So,
Yeah, he's on a roll there actually at Pocono. What has he won? 4 out of? Is he won 4 out of 5 or something?
I don't remember, but he's won a bunch.
He's won quite a bit. Yeah, he's piling them up at Pocono. He's piling them up everywhere. It doesn't really matter.
Martin Truex Jr. is third, 10.28%, 459 laps led. Those three are the only three in double digits for percentage. Chase Elliott is fourth, 9%, and Joey Logano is fifth, 8.65%.
Joey just lurking back there, man. Always lurking.
Now, if you look at percentage of miles led, Kyle Busch leads with 19.05%. He's led 1,098 laps, 1,098.733 laps. Sorry, the print is really small. I couldn't tell if it was a comma or a period.
And didn't Brad lead a lot of laps at like Martinsville? Did he win Martinsville? I can't remember.
I don't remember either, but
Yeah,
he led a lot of laps there. Brad's 11.55% of the miles. He's led 666 miles.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Yeah. So
Martinsville and Bristol, yeah.
Yep. So just thought that was interesting. I wanted to throw that out there. I love those little nuggets. I'm not a big stats guy. Stats really mean very little to me, but I thought that was pretty neat. So
Yeah, there's a big stats versus data. Data
Right.
can tell you a lot. Stats can be deceiving.
right, exactly.
Yep.
All right. Anything else on Pocono before we hit the news?
On to the rest of the week, I think.
There we
I think
go.
We can leave Pocono behind.
Yep. Let's leave it behind. James, you get the first one because you put it in here. I didn't even.
Yeah.
I know I moved it into the actual news items for you, but I think
Yeah,
I
I
came up with a
wasn't
better
sure.
do we care.
Right. Yeah, no, you did come up with the better do we care. I wasn't sure where to put it. Really not a whole lot to say. I just put in the show notes for people to click on the article. There was an update from Bloomberg.com that has an update on the owners of DC Solar on where everything went. It kind of ties into NASCAR. And actually, Kyle Larson's mentioned, I think, in the second paragraph of this article, just kind of describing how the couple who owned DC Solar basically scammed $800 million. Basically, DC Solar was a Ponzi scheme, and they got a ton of money from Warren Buffett, and the FBI came and took it all out. But it's just an update. I think everybody's familiar with the DC Solar story,
Right.
but this just kind of puts some numbers into it, what was going on at the time. Basically, DC Solar has completely shut down, so they're not just out of NASCAR; they are done.
Gone.
They had about 100 people working for them. Everybody's unemployed. The home that the Martinez, what was it? It's not the Martinez family. It's how do you say it? The Karpov family.
I think, yeah.
Yeah, they live in Martinez, but their home is basically abandoned and everything's gone. They went from so the Kyle Larson nugget in this was DC Solar had this huge Christmas party and invited all their partners, and Pitbull was there and Kyle Larson was there. And Kyle Larson had tweeted out that this is the best Christmas party I've ever been to. And it was only a couple days later that the feds came and basically shut DC Solar down. And we've seen where DC Solar has had a huge effect on NASCAR. Ross Chastain had a full-time Xfinity Series ride, and we're going to talk a little bit about his plans for this season in a few more notes here. But just an interesting story. Go for it. Go read it. It's in our show notes. Just gives everybody an update on what's going on and kind of this more the business side of things, but a huge impact on NASCAR this season. So
Definitely.
worth sharing, I think.
We got to stop putting Bloomberg articles in the show notes because now I'm down to 3 free articles remaining.
I know. Yeah, you got to watch that. Yeah, we got a lot of that, and probably the Athletic. We got we got a lot of paid sites now.
Right.
So, yeah.
NASCAR has, I don't know if they announced, but it was kind of chatted about that they are considering using part of the 2019 All-Star package next season. That would be the front splitter with the lift in their lip in the middle or whatever exactly it was, and the underpan. I for some reason can't put my finger on the actual name of it. I probably could look at the article and figure that out. At first I thought they were talking about the hood scoops
The
as well.
nostrils. Yeah, the I call them the nostrils.
Yeah, but that's not part of it.
Yeah. No, I don't think they like. I thought they said they were going to run they were going to try to run in those aero ducts somewhere else, not out of the hood. In the future, if they ever tried it again, I really thought we'd see that splitter come back before this season was over. The way the drivers responded, and it made Kyle Busch happy, which, as we mentioned before, is hard to do. So
yeah, apparently it helped with ride height issues with the cars. John Probst, the senior vice president for innovation and racing development for NASCAR, who has one of the longer titles in the company, of course. He said that there's definitely interest in putting it on the cars in 2020. They may entertain it, and that it likely would be cost neutral to teams, which personally I don't think as a fan we need to care about that anyway. But for the drivers and the teams, it might even be cheaper, he said, because it's the radiator pan. That's what I was trying to come up with. Because it's the splitter and the radiator pan are all one piece, so it could be cheaper. Rodney Childers tweeted after the race that he wanted to put it on as soon as possible. But this is part of, or expected to be part of the Gen 7 car, and which we are not likely to see until at least 2021, probably in small increments, I would assume, like we did the car tomorrow back in the day.
Yeah.
So might make its way to the Cup Series a little sooner, and I think based on what we saw at the All-Star race, I think that's a good deal. I think it, if that's what created what we got, I think that's something that we need.
Yeah. I still would like to see it run again, in my personal opinion. I mean, shoot, we've run Michigan as a test track before.
Yep.
I'd love to see it again in a different setting, but nevertheless, NASCAR's got data. They got the smarter people that are looking at everything, and hopefully they come up with a good conclusion. Because I think, my opinion is I'm not a huge fan of taking the horsepower away from these cars still, but we've seen a pretty decent product this year. I mean, it's not, it hasn't been terrible. That's, right. I think it's been pretty good. So as long as they're looking to continue to improve on what they've got, I think they like what they see, and they are going to continue to take strides to the next steps here moving forward.
We'll take it. In the doesn't seem likely and seems very contrary to everything else news department, Eric Jones said this weekend that he feels he's close to a contract extension. His contract with Joe Gibbs Racing is up at the end of the year. And of course, Toyota and Joe Gibbs and everybody's trying to figure out a place to put Christopher Bell because he's got to go somewhere. What the heck, man?
Yeah, I know.
Where's Bell going to go if Jones signs a contract?
I have no idea.
The
only other team is Levine Family Racing, right?
There's no way. There's no way that Toyota sticks him with Levine Family Racing. There's no way. Is somebody coming to Toyota we don't know about? And still, it doesn't. Joe Gibbs how could Joe Gibbs let him go?
Honestly, I don't know what they're going to do. It's
a good problem to have. I guess I wish I was Joe Gibbs with this problem.
I feel like Joe Gibbs has always had this problem.
Yeah,
for a long time.
It seems like people are pretty happy with his organization. I mean,
and I would not give up on Eric Jones. Man, I
wouldn't either. You give up on Eric Jones, you're giving up on Joey
Logano problem.
Yeah, exactly.
Again.
Yep.
They should have never let go of Joey Logano. And that's not hindsight.
No.
He was struggling, but man, he was young.
Yep.
He was really young, and they just gave up on him for. I mean, Matt Kenseth gave him one championship level season, and he was done.
Yeah, and it's funny because I think at the time I was on board with that move, and that was a terrible move.
I mean, if Matt Kenseth wins you a championship, it's worth. Anytime you win a championship, it's worth it. But man, I don't know. I would rather have Joey Logano in the fold now.
Well, so far they're down one. You know,
They are down one. Yes.
Matt didn't get him one, and Joey got one for the other guy. So
Got one for Penske. So that was a bad move in hindsight. And Eric Jones has shown enough. He's just young, man. These
Yeah.
guys are young. They just don't. But that's
hey,
Kyle
Eric
Busch.
Jones has a win in what is a
In the-
very competitive series right now, unless you're Kyle Busch.
Yeah.
I mean, it's tough to win. And even you talk about Kyle Busch, you talk about, look at your all-time winners the last couple of years. You've got Kevin Harvick up there. You've got Martin Truex up there. You've got these guys up there. There's only a few guys that have won a ton of races. And that just shows how hard it is to crack into this, that somebody like
Right.
Eric Jones or Chase Elliott, this isn't back when Tony Stewart came up as a rookie or Jeff Gordon came up as a rookie and you could get a win in your rookie season and, easily if you were good.
It's a very tight box right now.
Yeah.
Over the last couple of years.
Back then there were 5 guys who could realistically win any weekend. There's 10 to 15 now.
And if you think Christopher Bell is a better prospect than Eric Jones, that's one thing, but you're not paying attention to how good Eric Jones really is.
Right. If you're going to constantly get rid of the guy before he develops for the next guy to develop, then you're not doing it right. You
Right.
can't. I'm taking this from the hockey aspect right now, or another sport, but you can't constantly be in a rebuild. If you're constantly in a rebuild, you're always rebuilding.
Right.
If you're going to develop talent, you gotta develop them all the way through. Otherwise, you're just a breeding ground for everybody else.
Right. And exactly. Well, and that's what happened with Kyle Larson. I mean, he was a Toyota driver, and there was no room at the end. So,
and I think Kyle Larson's the reason that Christopher Bell's not going anywhere.
Exactly. And Gibbs is
They won't let that happen again.
Yeah, these young drivers, you don't measure them by wins and losses. You measure them by in strides. And I don't think Eric Jones has even reached the plateau level yet. I think he's still been building. Like, look at William Byron. I think that's a great example right now. We are just now, the team is finally starting to perform better.
Yep.
And we are seeing some signs with that kid. Like, he's coming. He's getting poles now. I think he's up to 3 poles this year, running better, finding top 10s. So that's the part with these young guys. You have to just give them the seat time. There's a lot of impatience. Like, even Kyle Busch is impatient with his truck team.
Yep.
See, I mean, he's very open about, these guys have had time, and we can argue back and forth if they had enough. But
right.
That's the thing with Eric Jones. I don't just give up on him yet.
No.
He's good. He's real good.
Yeah, he is. And if you give up on him, somebody else is going to gobble him up, and you're going to be kicking yourself in a couple of years.
Well, yeah, like Chase Elliott last year, we were waiting for him to make the leap.
Yep.
And he finally made the leap. And Eric Jones has a win, and I know he has not made the leap yet.
Nope.
He's still on the cusp. He'll get there.
Yep, I agree. Hybrid boaters may be coming to NASCAR. I don't think this is a surprise at all. There's an article to J-Ski linked in here, which includes, I think, quotes from a bunch of different articles on this. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. We know there's no way that they don't eventually look at some sort of electric component to these motors. We're seeing it in other sports. It's just a matter of how long before they do it. There seems to be speculation that it could be soon, it could be later. I'm saying we aren't going to see it within the next 5 years, we'll probably see some signs of it. But NASCAR's not going to move that quick on this. What do you think?
No, and Brad Keselowski actually was the first time I had heard about this, and now we're kind of seeing it in the news cycling around.
Right.
But wasn't it last year that Brad Keselowski
last year
said,
in Michigan, Brad threw it out
yeah,
there.
Yep. So we're maybe about a year ago at this point. So
yep.
Brad had talked about, like, this is coming, guys, be ready. And I think Brad being in the Ford camp probably has just as much input as anybody.
Right.
Telling these teams or telling the manufacturer what he sees as a possibility as well, and combined with what Ford's doing across the board in motorsports.
And it's really easy to think hybrid and think like Toyota Prius or something like that. Yeah, exactly. That's the first thing you think of as a hybrid. But when you look at it from a racing standpoint, there's so many different things you can do with the electric component. We've got it, and I'm pretty sure we have it in Formula One. I believe some of the sports cars and stuff are doing it as well. And we're not talking about, the Formula E series, which is fully electric and you're running on batteries. That's not what this is about. This isn't about, reducing power or anything like that. This is actually about increasing power, probably in some instances, increasing response times, things like that. You put this electric component in, we've just dropped the horsepower to 550. Now you put the electric component in there, you can get some of that kickback with the, with the takeoff. You can get a lot of that throttle response back without having to have the higher horsepower motors. There's a lot of technology here that could fit very well into NASCAR.
Yeah. Yep, and NASCAR is the dinosaur of all motorsports.
Oh God, yeah,
by far. So,
oh geez, how many years have we been on fuel injection now? And we're still,
I know,
we're still only in fuel injection in the Cup, right? They still run carburetors in the other series.
I think you might be right about that. Yeah, it's still.
Come on, man.
I know. Yeah. So
you look at these motors in these cars. There is not a motor in a production car that looks anything in your souped up, raciest, muscle car. Current car, there is not a motor that looks like any of these motors these guys are running.
Yeah, and if you can have a motor that relates to what the manufacturer puts on the road and saves them some costs as well, they're going to be all for that kind of thing. They
Right.
It's all about cost savings and performance. It's a two-pillar system.
If you pull a motor from a 1970 NASCAR and you pull a motor from a 2019 NASCAR and you put them side by side, as a layperson like you and I, we're not going to tell the difference.
No,
the
markings are the only thing that'll give it away. But
the teams will know and stuff because obviously there's way more advanced parts now and everything, but they're the same basic model that they've been since then.
Yeah, if you had just the bare bones,
Yep.
yeah, you wouldn't know the difference.
Yep. So, speaking of forward thinking, it seems as if some talk of a potential IndyCar NASCAR doubleheader is in the early talks. Nothing obviously set in stone or anything. Jordan Bianchi had the story on The Athletic. And again, if you guys haven't subscribed to The Athletic, I highly encourage you to do so. They've got some great motorsports coverage now with Bianchi and Gluck and Smith putting out articles for him. But anyway, Eddie Gossage from Texas Motor Speedway is the one that was talking quite a bit about it. Likely could be one of the places they'd look at doing it is at Texas. Other places that have been discussed is potentially Indianapolis, running a combination of the oval for the Cup cars and the road course for the Indy cars. They even said, hey, if we're going to do that, let's run an IMSA race on the same weekend as well and make it a triple header. Pocono's another place that's been discussed. The Roval has been discussed. So, again, not something we're going to see immediately, but it's something that we will potentially see in the near future. And the talk has been, from the looks of it, that IndyCar would be running on Saturday or Saturday evening, and the Cup cars would run Sunday afternoon. So we know who would be relegated to the second position and the first position in that instance, which was probably one of those stalling points back in the day. What do you think of this, James? I think it's great.
I love the idea. I want the triple header at the Austin F1 track.
Yeah,
I want F1, Cup, and Indy all on the same weekend.
It's really interesting because Eddie Gossage won't let the Cup Series run. He's fighting the Cup Series running there, but the IndyCar Series runs there.
Yes, they do.
And like IndyCar is SMI. Like,
yeah.
I don't understand how.
Weird. I know.
I mean, I guess it makes sense because the market for IndyCar is so much smaller that
you don't worry about your attendance issues with IndyCar.
Right.
NASCAR still it matters a little bit. No, I love this idea. It's something I think you and I have talked about a lot, and we've screamed about it for probably years.
Yeah.
Like, let's do this thing.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can take two fan bases and combine them, even if IndyCars is significantly smaller than NASCAR, they've still got their diehard fans. If you can bring any of those fans in and expose them to NASCAR, you could potentially bring in more NASCAR fans, and that's what we want.
I really would love to see, if you want to make the Brickyard 400 matter again, run it on Saturday before the Indy 500.
Oh man, there's no way though.
And I know, but they I'm just
the
saying,
logistics of that, because Indianapolis, and I've never been to a race there, but I've talked to plenty of people. Indianapolis sucks for a large crowd of people.
Here's my thoughts though. You can get the Cup guys racing in Indy at the same time.
That is true.
So you could get the
did you see the story that
the new version of the Indy Double?
There is talk that they may try to convince Indy to move the 500.
That's so stupid.
Potentially to Memorial Day or the
no
day
offense
prior.
to NASCAR, but you cannot.
No.
move the Indy 500 off the Memorial. No.
No. I agree. So I'm looking at this picture on this article right now, and I want to point out something that we need in NASCAR, and it's not a big deal, and you really can't even notice it from the stands, but it's neat from TV and whatnot. Can we not? And this was something that was discussed and teased on the Car of Tomorrow when they talked about the Car of Tomorrow. Can we get these LED numbers on the side of the Cup cars that show the position the car's running in that they have in IndyCar? I love that. Just me?
I don't know how to respond to that.
So I don't understand. Stick it in one of the windows. They talked about putting it in the passenger window. We now have a passenger window in all tracks. So stick that LED on the side of the car. It's facing the stands. You can see what position the car is in. Whenever he's running in traffic, not in traffic, you know who's racing for position. They've had it in IndyCar. They got rid of it when they updated their car last couple of years, and it's back again this year. And I think it's an excellent thing. It's a neat addition. It doesn't take much. When they're in the pits, it counts down their pit stops so the crews can see and everybody can see how long they're in the pits. I don't see why we don't have that in the Cup
You're
Series.
taking this technology thing too far, Eric.
Right.
This is where I put the stop to the technology.
Right. I just don't get it.
No, it's actually a pretty good idea.
Yeah. All right. You take the next one, James. You put this one in the list.
Yeah. So Ross Chastain is switching from the Xfinity Championship points to trucks.
This is very interesting because Ross Chastain has a win in the Truck Series, but that win does not count right now.
Does not count.
So he's basically going all in, saying he's going to win because he can't do it getting on points. So he's saying he's going to win another race in the Truck Series, or has the best chance of winning a race in the Truck Series to get into the playoffs.
He's saying to himself, "I'm looking at looking down the road, and I can win a Truck Championship, and I cannot win an Xfinity Championship."
Yep.
But he's going to continue his schedule as is, but he's going for the Trucks Championship.
It's interesting.
I'm pulling up his stats really quick, just to give everybody just an example on, or give everybody a little bit of data on what he's done so far this season. So he's run all of the Cup races so far. He has one top 10 finish, so nothing there. He's run all of the Xfinity races so far and one top 10 finish. He has run all 8 Truck Series races. He has 8 top 10s, a win, an average finish of 6.4, and he is going for it, man.
I think he's betting right.
He's betting right, but he's got and really it's a smart bet.
The other reason he's betting right is because I think if he's not done, Kyle Busch has one more race in the Truck Series.
Yeah.
So he doesn't have to worry about battling Kyle Busch the rest of the season.
There are only 14 drivers running full time for the Truck Series title right now. So he's got, let me see, when do the playoffs begin? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think he's got 9 races to get into the top 20 and get that win. So I think he can do it. And I'm going to see where that spot is right now. Let me see. There are 12 drivers, 12, 13. There are 14 drivers who've run all 8 races so far in the Truck Series. And only one guy has a win 2 guys have wins that aren't named Kyle Busch. Johnny Sauter and Austin Hill are the only ones who are locked in, and they are 6th and 7th in points respectively. So yeah, he should be able to do it, man. The guy in 20th in points right now is Jesse Little, and he's earned 658 points so far. So Ross has got a little bit of a mountain to climb, but it's not insurmountable.
That's interesting. Really interesting.
Yeah, he's going for it, man. He's going to try to win this championship. I love this.
Yeah.
I love that somebody took this system and is going to try something with it.
Yep.
Because he's not going to win a championship in the Xfinity Series, but man, he could win. He could win this thing.
Yeah.
Why not?
It's a good move. I like it.
Yeah, this is the first time we've seen it, right? I don't think we've seen this since the declaration of where you're running for championship points.
No, that first season they did this, all 3 races. That was 2011. And all 3 races were won by a driver that wasn't competing for points at Daytona, because that was the one that Landon Castle won the Xfinity race, and I believe, and Michael Waltrip won the truck race, and Trevor Bayne won the Cup race, and none of them were racing in that.
Yeah, none of them were full time. Yeah.
And
that's
there was
funny.
talk at that time about Trevor Bayne, whether he should switch from Xfinity at
I
the
remember
time to
that.
Cup.
Yeah.
But he didn't do that. So yeah, this is the first high profile, at least, that has happened.
Yep. And like you said, his win and all of his statistics to the Truck Series, they count towards stats,
Right.
but no playoff points, no win. The win does not count towards the championship either. He has to start from zero, basically like he's starting a whole new season. He's on the chase to make it in. So basically, this is the Kyle Busch model right here.
Yeah.
When Kyle Busch missed 9 races in 2015 and had to get in, this is his chance.
There you go.
I love it.
I agree. I think it's neat.
Good for him, man. Go get it.
Yep. Couple more things really quick. I can't remember what the other one was. I don't have them in the show notes, but thought it was worth mentioning. Friday night, the Truck Series competes at Texas Motor Speedway. They're not with the Cup and Xfinity Series race teams this weekend. Those guys are at Michigan. But the Truck Series, Greg Biffle making his return to the Truck Series, running for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Not really much to discuss there. We discussed it back when the announcement was made, but just thought it was worth mentioning that Biffle will be on the track on Friday night. And I can't remember what the other thing was that I just thought of that I thought was worth mentioning. So I guess, here's what I wanted to mention. Okay, so we talked about, let's go back to Pocono for a moment. We talked about how terrible the Pocono race was. Everybody hated the Pocono race. I don't know if anybody turned on the ARCA race on Friday night at Pocono, but there were 18 cars entered in the ARCA race at Pocono, 18 only, with like a quarter of the way through the race. Riley Herbst was leading the race in the number 18. I think it was KBM or Joe Gibbs. I don't know who. I think it's a KBM car.
Venturini?
Yeah, you might be right. Anyway, he was leading the race. There was one other car within 10 seconds of him. There were 7 cars on the lead lap. So if you guys thought Pocono sucked for the Cup Series, it could have been worse.
Oh, the ARCA Series. Oof.
Yeah, I don't even know.
It'll get better.
I don't even know if I'm taking the elevator up to the tower Friday this week at Michigan for the ARCA race. Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what the entry list looks like.
The ARCA Series will get better. I have no doubt, but it's in a bad spot right now.
Yeah, it is.
It's in a transitional spot, and it's not pretty.
It is. It is. It's in a rough spot that, with NASCAR taking over, there's going to be some changes to the way the ARCA system works and all that. And so the guys are just hanging on there. And we did get to see Haley Deegan race at Pocono in the ARCA race. I don't even know how she did. I know she had fueling problems and was going a lap down when I was watching it. But now, the big news of the week, James. You ready? You ready for this?
I'm ready.
So, this is our Do We Care topic of the week. M&M's is opening a Glamp Ground, it's called, at Kentucky Speedway and Bristol Motor Speedway this year. So here's what you get at the Glamp Ground. For $500, you get, this is from Fox News, of course. So $500 gets you a tent for 2, with either a queen or 2 single beds, with access to private showers. They can be occupied on Tuesday of the race weekend. Includes all meals on the weekend, pit passes, visits with team drivers, including current NASCAR Cup Series points leader Kyle Busch, and other amenities. Do we care?
Incredible. Incredible. The most incredible thing about this is not Fox Sports.
No, this is Fox News. Yeah.
The Fox News. Do I care? Boy.
So there'll be a total of 30 tents available at the track, with the caveat that campers are only allowed to carry in 1 24-pack of beer for each one. I know that might be a deal breaker.
Boy.
So here's my thought on it. While James contemplates whether he cares.
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do with it.
So here's 2 things. First of all, if you click on the article, that the link is in the show notes. If you click on the article and look at it, I don't know if any of you guys watch the Fire Festival documentaries on Netflix or Hulu, but God, does this look like the Fire Festival? So, but that aside, first of all, this is not designed for you and I as race fans. This is designed to get people who are not necessarily race fans to come to the track and experience the race. I think that is good, and I am on board with that. And yes, I do care about that. Let's get some more fans. Let's get some casual fans to the track. We're going to stick them at this campground where they got a TV there that they can watch the race on, and they're not going to interfere with anybody else. They're all in a fenced-off area, so that's good. That being said, $500 for this? If the $500 is for 2 people? Or Eric, is it $500 a person? This is a good deal, James.
Eric, you're going to be
I'm going to be at
Kentucky
Kentucky.
Speedway, and I expect. I'm not asking. I am telling you. I want pictures.
I
of
will.
this.
I will go check out the Glamp Ground. Now, I would not stay in a Glamp Ground. I'm sorry, would not stay in a Glamp Ground. I believe I'm a little out of the times. I know I'm technically a millennial, but just barely. And I'm thinking that Glamp Ground has to do with glamorous. Is that the case, James? Are you familiar with the term?
There's a big movement in the camping community. Camping versus glamping.
Uh-huh.
And camping is when you rough it and you have a
Yeah.
tent, versus glamping when you have a trailer with a kitchen.
I guess
and all-
technically I've always preferred glamping than camping because
I guess I'm a glamper myself, but it's ridiculous.
But if
If you're camping, you're camping, for God's sakes.
if it's $500 for 2 people for one of these tents at the track, that's
For
and,
two-
and
for 2
food and
days?
showers and everything. That's a great deal.
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not a bad price.
Yeah, it doesn't
But
say
yeah.
$500 a day. It says $500.
Yeah. And the picture that you mentioned is really great because it looks like it's a 2-mile dirt track oval with the Daytona grandstands in the background, maybe.
I think
No, it's like
I think that's the Kentucky grandstands back there, sort of
I know.
ish.
Yep, that is.
I
It's
see
terrible.
they have the wood that brick wall at the bottom of it is definitely Kentucky. That's a terrible picture of Kentucky superimposed on this. And the dirt track on the inside, I believe, is like a Google. I think this is a Google Maps like 3D image.
Maybe.
It's awful. I will give you that. It's terrible. But
So they're only anticipating maybe like what is that? 20 maybe 30 tents.
yeah, they said 30 tents will be available.
I mean, it's cool. It's weird. I don't know what to think about it.
I will
but
definitely check it out at Kentucky.
I want pictures.
Yeah, I will. I don't know if I'll be allowed in there.
You're getting in
because-
there.
Yeah.
Just wave pass around and say, listen.
I just scrolled down the comments. One of the comments, glamping, LOL. I remember when they used to give out free Winston cigarettes at NASCAR events. Now they M&M glamp.
Okay, that's good.
Ah,
That's really good.
yeah.
Thank you for sharing this. I mean, I saw it earlier today, and I wasn't sure what to think about it.
I actually care and I like it. I mean, first of all, who does it hurt? I mean, if this is going to get some people and more people at the track and it's not going to interfere with anybody else, who gives a crap? Like, if you
It's
don't
good
like it,
product placement for M&Ms.
yeah. I'll
Everybody
tell you what,
hates their driver, so might as well try to get people to.
they were passing out the M&Ms in Victory Lane this weekend. I thought that was cool. I mean, I would imagine getting out of the car has got to be pretty rough. That's probably why Kyle's in such a bad mood. Instead of throwing beer at him, they're throwing freaking M&Ms at him.
Getting fat. Sugar makes you feel bad.
He probably
but-
wishes they'd come up with like a gummy M&M so it would hurt less when he wins.
Yeah, that and he's eating M&Ms all the time. That cannot be good for your for your innards. You know,
Right.
like that's got to be bad for you. So
All right. With that note, we're going to Michigan International Speedway this weekend. And guess what? I am
Okay.
going to Michigan International Speedway this weekend. It is the Firekeepers Casino 400. I will be there with all kinds of coverage. I still don't know what that coverage is going to look like yet, guys. It could be photos. It could be writing. Could be a bunch of tweets. Check my Twitter because there'll be all kinds of stuff on Twitter. But I don't know. Well, we'll burn that bridge as we get there. Hopefully the weather's good this weekend. There was some chance of rain on Sunday, but it's Michigan. So until about 30 seconds before that forecast is good for, we won't know for sure what it's going to be. With that note, we get to pick our drivers for the Firekeepers Casino 400, and I do not know who I'm picking, but I am first because, James, you picked first 2 weeks ago, and I let Todd pick first last week, so it is my turn.
how
to
did
pick
Todd do
first.
after last week?
I don't remember who he picked. Who did he pick?
Oh,
He
I don't
probably
know. Let's take.
I think he picked.
I'm gonna take a look.
Didn't he pick Kyle
I'm gonna
Busch?
take a look. I'm gonna take a look.
Yeah, look it up while I'm trying to stall here and figure out who I'm picking. Best average finish at Michigan is interesting.
Yeah, it's
I think
it's
I think I might go that. No, I'm going to do the same thing I did last year, I believe. And I'm going to go with my pick being the hometown boy. We were talking about him today. I'm going Eric Jones.
nice.
Eric Jones is my pick. There would be nothing cooler than being at Michigan and watching Eric Jones win at his home track.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna do the same thing you just did, and I think it's time. Brad Keselowski.
Yeah.
Get that Michigan win off your back, man. He says that if he won at Michigan, it'd be bigger than winning the Daytona 500.
I think it would be because it'd be the one track that Brad would
He's
be
been
cheered
close.
at.
Yeah, he's been close, man. He's been real close a couple of times.
You were there the year that he ran in the Truck Series race at Ohio at Eldora. Of course, this is a Michigan guy running in Ohio with a Michigan license plate on the back of his truck. Like, I mean, you're going to get booed, but he got booed at Eldora. It was crazy.
I know, and it was funny. He was the only Cup driver in the field that year, I think.
Yeah, he was.
I'm pretty sure. Well, the Dillon brothers. The
Yeah.
Dillon brothers were there.
Right.
But yeah. So yeah, we each picked the Michigan homer pick.
There you go. Who's your dark horse? Nobody picked Kyle Larson, man. We didn't pick Kyle Larson.
Yeah, this is a good track for Kyle Larson. Can I pick him as a dark horse?
Nope. Yes,
I'm
the guy
picking
with
this
3 wins, you can pick as a dark horse.
I'm picking this guy because I know I'm going to get a really good qualifying spot, and he might break through. I'm going with William Byron.
I figure that's the direction. Whoa.
He's showing some speed.
That's a good one. I am going to go with. I'm going to do the same thing I did previously, and I'm going to take. I think I did it last weekend. I'm going to take a guy who
You did. I remember listening to that.
shouldn't be a dark horse because he has 2 wins on this track, but in the car that he's in, he's a dark horse, and I'm going to go Ryan Newman.
Yep, that's a good one. I like
There was
that
a
one.
time that Ryan Newman was really good at Michigan.
He was really good everywhere for a
That is
very
true.
short speed. Todd picked Ryan Blaney and Daniel Hemrick last week.
Okay, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. He's a big Ryan Blaney fan now. He's a big
YRB.
Yep. Blaney needs to do something, man.
I know.
That
He's in
kid, we talk about guys who keep needing to break through. Blaney, every time he gets on a roll, everything goes to crap.
I don't
He's
know what
right
his-
back there again.
but this is another one of those young guy things. He's a baby. He's 25.
That's true.
You got to make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
And you're young, and he's making some this year.
Yeah,
But
he is.
he's
But
got
I mean,
promise. He'll be
again,
fine.
we're talking about a guy. You got Ryan Blaney running a Penske car. The Penske cars have been great. You got Eric Jones running a Joe Gibbs car. Joe Gibbs has been great. You know, these guys, it makes them look even worse when they're struggling in the equipment that they're struggling
versus their teammate. Well, yeah, and versus their teammates' performance as well. Everybody on Gibbs has won a race, and everybody at Penske's won a race except for Blaney.
in. Right.
I guess if you can count Paul Menard in that group, then Blaney's not looking so bad. So
Yeah. I think every week they change this freaking fantasy site and screw it up.
Oh yeah.
So James, I want to congratulate you because we talked a little bit about you on the podcast last week.
I really thought you guys should have skipped it over last week. I really do.
So James won last week. This week not so good.
No, I was back to normal.
I
am
forgot
a
to pick my
field
drivers
filler
again,
at this
so
point. Yeah, I'm a field filler for the fantasy league.
I forgot to pick. I'm going to cheat this week, and I am going. Well, I'm going to cheat this week. I'm just telling you that. I'm getting some help with my picks this week.
Were you gonna have Todd do it for you?
No, I'm not cheating like that. No, I don't trust Todd. He'd give me crap. He would do it just to make me lose. No way. Justin 713 gets the win this week. Hurricane Ditka ties him actually. So Justin and
2
Hurricane
winners.
tied for first. Ranger Runyon comes home third. Todd got fourth. Freight Train 295. Smokey come back. James 5th place. I got 6. Scoter's 7th. I like the fact that Scoter's hanging around here, helping me look not quite as bad.
Yeah. Overall, I'm like right there behind you. There's a 4-point difference between 5th and 6th.
I got to
And
start
then,
picking my drivers so that I can pull back ahead of you.
I'm trying to think about who we are in our league, and I feel like you and I are like the Roush Fenway cars.
Yeah. I don't
Everybody
know.
else is just a tier above us, and we're just kind of meddling around at the middle of the pack.
I'd say we're front row motorsports in any other season but this one.
I feel like my doppelganger might be like BJ McLeod or something. I feel I really have a kindred spirit with him. So
Maybe. Justin 713 still leading the points. Ranger Runyon is close, man. 2590 to 2510. It's close. Hurricane Ditka is 3rd. Freight Train Todd is 4th. I'm 5th. James hanging out in 6th, and Scoter's back in the back in 7th. There you go. Here's the fantasy league. I'm picking my drivers this week, and I'm winning. I'm gonna win. Going all in.
we should, if we don't do good at Michigan, there's something wrong with us.
Yeah, I'm gonna do terrible. I'll probably finish last. James, you got any shout outs this week?
Just wanted to from my side, just wanted to thank Todd for stepping in for me last week. I thought he did a fantastic job, man. You guys, I listened while I was on vacation in northern Michigan. Enjoyed myself and got some laughs in. Felt like chiming in a couple of times listening to the podcast, but thank you to Todd and thank you to all of his family and friends who he shouted out that he was going to come on, and everybody came and listened to the podcast last week, and they probably heard my voice this week and turned it right off. So we were glad to have everybody for a week. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool experience, and I hope that we can all three of us can get on a pod here soon. That would be a lot of fun.
That would be cool. That'd be cool. I got 4 mic inputs now, man. I can have 4 people. Actually, I could do 5 because James is on Skype. He doesn't like to hang out with us in person.
I like to hide.
It's so weird sitting across from an actual human being last week.
That is weird.
I don't have any shout outs, but check out Michigan this weekend. Home track. Can't wait to be down there. Leaving Thursday night, head down there. Let's see. I think that's pretty much everything. James, if they want to follow you on social media, how can they find you?
At James Cush on Twitter.
You can find me on social media at TSuperspeedway. There'll be all kinds of stuff this weekend from Michigan. You can follow the podcast on Facebook, facebook.com/thesuperspeedway. Our website is thesuperspeedway.com. The podcast can be found on there. Show notes are up. You can click on any of the articles that we've talked about on the show. Again, there will be coverage for Michigan on there as well. That'll be Grand Central for any coverage, so check that out as well. You can find the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and SoundCloud. Soon to be on the Mac with the new podcast app on the Mac this fall. That'll be nice.
Yeah.
Nobody else cares, but I get excited about the Apple stuff. If you want to become a patron, become part of the show, you can do that at patreon.com/thesuperspeedway. Anything else, James, before we head on out?
Just man, I don't know. Thanks everybody for the support, man. I think it's been cool. We're still doing pretty good. I'm excited that you're going to be at the track this week, and hope everybody tunes in. Eric always does a great job. The photos you get are always fantastic. I'm excited to see what you get. It's going to be awesome.
I'm excited. Looking forward to it. Can't wait to be at the track. It's been way too long. So Michigan this weekend, still working on Chicago, Kentucky, and the August Michigan race I'll definitely be at as well. So lots of stuff coming this summer. Keep following along. And if you haven't subscribed, please do. There'll be plenty more to listen to. We'll talk about everything next week. We'll be back to talk about Michigan and hopefully a really exciting race. I have high hopes for Michigan this weekend with the new aero package. I think it's going to translate well to this track, and it's been cooler in Michigan. So we aren't hopefully going to see the super hot temperatures. It won't be a real slick track. Should be able to get, side by side, 3 wide. I think Michigan has the potential to be the closest that we're going to see of this package to Daytona or Talladega. I'm not saying we're going to see Daytona and Talladega at Michigan, but we're going to see sustained runs and probably bigger packs at Michigan than we've ever seen before. Don't you think, James?
I think so too. And you're right, man. It has been so dang cold up here this year. Hopefully we get a little bit of that cool weather again, because I think it could really help. And yeah, I think you're right. I think it's going to be great racing. I really do. I have high hopes.
Yeah, if you're camping this weekend at Michigan, bring your warm blankets with your tent, because it's going to probably be chilly in the evenings. It's been hanging in the 40s at night. So we had frost advisories last night. It's ridiculous. But
yeah, I went running the second day into June, and this is the first time this has ever happened to me. I had to wear a jacket and gloves in June, and I was furious.
It's crazy.
Furious. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It's been terrible.
Usually by now I've retired the jeans and they're gone for the year, but
nope,
I'm on Sunday.
It's terrible.
Yep. One shout out before I go, and he had to wait till the very end of the podcast to get it. But Ryan Kyler, he's bringing a bunch of buddies. He's a fan of the show. Bringing a bunch of buddies down to Michigan this weekend. So I believe he's bringing a bunch of people to their first race. So that'll be pretty cool. Anytime somebody's bringing people to the track for the first time, that is great. That's what we need in the sport.
That's awesome. Yeah, really cool.
Yep.
Really cool.
So we'll head to Michigan this weekend. We'll be back next week to discuss it. Like I said, follow on social media. I don't know if there might be potentially a surprise podcast that might pop up over the weekend. Depends on if I get to talk to anybody down there. I'll have my equipment. So who knows what'll happen. But until then, everybody, let's go racing.